Hello, Vegan Stephen here. I'm only delighted to see you. Today, right now, we're doing an episode on it's Make Money Now program, okay? So, it's very beneficial to make, and this video will be on green screening and how to do it and how it will benefit your business, okay? So, this is why would you do green screening? Because you can stand here and have your products displayed. It's like having a power. You know what the weather's like. You stand in front of it and then you show whatever you're showing, present it. All right. So yeah, I'm sure you can understand the benefit of green screening, especially high quality green screening is something which just looks very, very nice. A thing which also lets down the product of a lot of people doing green screen is the sound quality. Okay, so I'll just go through. I'll give you all the bullet points right now. Just how to do all the things. I'll give you all the camera settings, all the everything settings. All right, I'll try to keep this in half an hour. So it's going to be just a little thing. I'm going to put on the glasses. All right, here we go. Excuse me. Alright, so for green screening, you need to have, let me just turn off this backdrop here. Wait, where is it? Alright, so you can probably see there in the background, oh, there it is. Okay, so, yeah, you can change the background black and black and so on. Okay, so on green screen, here's some of the recommended settings anyway. You need an actual green screen. You can buy them for around €50. It's just a certain color. You can either paint a wall or use a green screen. It's a particular shade of green. Yeah, you can use blue to do green screen as well if you want. You can almost use any color, but green is recommended because it's furthest away from the color of human skin. Alright. The recommended settings for doing the green screen is 125 frames per second. Now I'll just get into why this is just very, very, very general. Okay, so for the filmic look, I'm a fan of the filmic look personally. So that's 24 frames per second. Okay, on the output of your video software. That's 24 frames per second the output of your video software. Alright, because that's the same frames per second as all the big movies, alright? They started trying out 60 frames on video games and so on, but alright. So if you're going out at 24 frames per second, you gotta be going in at 4 times that for a green screen. Alright? So roughly 24, it's actually 24 multiplied by 4 and then a little bit extra on top. Ended up being, I think it's 120. I think I wanted around 100 frames per second, but the closest I could get was 90, alright? So to make sure I went above that, I had to go to 125, alright? Just to make sure, I know there's not much in the difference, but so on. Okay, so that's how many frames per second. So every second is 125 clicks, alright? And then that goes through the green screen processor or whatever, because if I'm only doing a low frames per second, it won't be able to pick up all my movements, okay? It'll just pull up as green in the background. It won't be looking fly as flip. Alright, so bright in here. Alright, so you need to use daylight bulbs, okay? You get these in from wherever you want. Because otherwise the human's gonna look kind of orangey, and not orangey, yellowy, tungsten. Alright, so you got to have lights with diffusion. Diffusion is when you shine a light through a white bit of cloth or tracing paper to spread or even out the light. Instead of having like a laser pointing at you, you disperse the light by putting it through a white piece of tracing paper or cloth, which evens out the dispersion of the light around the room. Alright, much softer kind of carry on. So you got to think of this, where everyone messes up a green screen is the lighting. Okay, so here's how to light your green screen. So you have you need a wall. This is what I recommend doing anyway. You just get your piece of fucking green. You either paint the wall green. It'll take about 4 coats. I'd say 3 to 4 coats to get this exact color of green, depending on what color paint's underneath it. It needs to be consistently lit. That means that every part of the green screen needs to be equally lit, and that's an absolute head fuck to do, especially if you have any natural light come in. So I've got 2 lights coming either side of the green screen. So you'll light the green screen first, and then once you have that lit, you need to come forward about 5 feet from the green screen and light the person separately. So ideally you'll have 5 lights for this, okay? You have 2 lights at the green screen, about midway or so on, just to try and light up the fucking thing evenly, because if one side's too bright, then it won't work. It's an absolute nightmare. You have to use masking and so on. The best way to do this is just to get it right straight out of the box or whatever. So you don't have to go into any weird sub menus and spend ages looking for tutorials how to fix it. You just have it right straight off the get go. This is why this is streaming live, because I just have it right. Yeah. Okay. Getting concerned about the volume of the. Hey, I think it's okay. Is the volume? No, okay, sorry. Getting distracted there with the volume of the podcast and so on. I think we'll be alright. Alright, here we go. So, 5 lights, okay? 2 lights at the back wall. So you have your green screen taped onto a wall. And you'll have it taped on the floor as well if you want. So just anything in frame needs to have a green backdrop, so the person cannot be wearing green jumper in any way, otherwise it won't work. Because what you're doing is getting rid of the green, anything that's in the screen of green, and then putting a different backdrop on it. It looks really, really good. If you watch any film like Avatar and so on, it's all green screen. Alice in Wonderland, green screen. You get the idea. Avatar, no, fucking all the Marvel, all the superhero movies, green screen. Lord of the Rings, green screen. Alright. So you need to have the person lit individually and the background lit individually, and that's why you need so many lights. So it's 2 lights like either side of the background. Happy days. And then you need 2 lights to light the actual person who's the object or whatever. You need 2 lights on them to get either side, and then finally you need 1 light above, a hair light, which is actually blowing my mind. So I have a light right above my head, like about half a foot above my head, and it's called a hair light. You can see there. Alright, so that's why you need 5 lights, and they're all in different locations. So a lot of people, what they do is they get their phone and they try the green screen thing out, and it just doesn't work. I was like, what? It's fucking shit, didn't work. But that's because you got to light up your green screen first, have that evenly lit. You can do different tests on your phone and so on. Because if it's not evenly lit, if there's any, I can show you now. Here, it'll get all fucked up when I start turning the lights off. Can you see? Can you see that? It's not getting fucked up now. Turn the lights off here. I'll turn one more light off. The image just gets more and more. I'm turning off the overhead light now. Alright, so you can see it's starting to look a bit more fucked. And so on. So the green screen, if the background isn't evenly lit, the green screen deteriorates. So I've talked about your frames per second, so you got to go 4 times as much as your output for your green screen. Generally what you'll do for general recording is you go 60 frames per second if you're outputting 24 frames per second. Always stick to 24 frames per second. Well, that's if you want to go for the filmic look like me. They try out 30 frames per second and they try out 60 frames per second in Lord of the Rings and so on, and it's fine. It's just humans aren't really kind of used to that just yet, your eye processing and so on. So yeah, it's grand. I'm just into those kind of frames per second. The atmosphere, no, it's not, aperture is 3.5 is the filmic look. So that's when something up close is clear, like me, and the background is blurry. So you want the green screen to come up as blurry. That way, any little marks on the green screen won't show up. So there's different planes. Okay, I'm closer to you on one plane, and in the background, imagine echo, or a bit in the depth is the green screen. Okay, so the thing up front is lit by itself, and the thing in the background is lit by itself. You light the background first, and then you bring the person in and light them separately, keeping in mind the background. You can see probably this might get a bit more fucked up if I try to move very close to the green screen. You might be able to see some greenness on me here. Especially, I'll turn off these lights one more time. Because the closer you go to the green screen, the more messed up it gets, as far as I can know. Is that messing up? There should be green lines coming around my hands. Anyway, who knows? But yeah, it's mental having these many lights. That's why I like wearing sunglasses. It's so bright in here. So daylight bulbs, not tungsten bulbs, because they're going to be all yellow. It's just going to, you got to colour correct it first. So you got to hold up a white sheet and tell the camera that that's white. So you got to take a picture of a white thing in the room, tell the camera that that's white, and that's how it does the white balance. So the aperture, which is how big the hole is on the camera, is 3.5. The ISO 800, absolute 800, 600 or less ideally. On my camera for this, I particularly want to have it on 800. Hopefully, and I actually have the aperture on 4. So I'm not going exact. These are just rough guidelines. So we're going through the frames per second, the f-stop, which 3.5, the ISO, which is just the amplification of the picture, the noise added or whatever. You got your white balance. You got the lights and where they are. You got to have about 5 foot distance between the person and the light screen behind. Hopefully, ideally, you would light the person that's getting more advanced to suit the background. Okay, so do you remember we talked about the overhead light and the 2 lights in front? Okay, so depending on what the lighting in the background is, you might move one light further away, depending on which light. So you try to match the person's light with the background of the light, the image you're planning on putting in the background, okay? Because right now, it's very sterile. So normally what people do is they put shadows in afterwards, and lens flare and so on. So they shoot it very bright like this, and they darken it through filters. They put on a bluey filter to give it that filmy look, and so on. Yeah. So that just makes shit, hair lights and all this light just makes stuff look pro as fuck. A DSLR, you can even use your iPhone or whatever. The most important thing is the lighting. You can use whatever camera you want, kind of. If you do have a DSLR, there are the settings anyway. I have this shot on a 28mm zoom lens, which is not ideal. Ideally, you'd shoot on a 50mm at the smallest, because you're getting into lens distortion. But at the moment, I'm not in a very long room, so I'm trading off lens distortion for the more wide the lens is, the more bent the edges are. There's more curvature in the. I think you think all like the. I don't know, if I walk, I think I'm smaller in the edges and I'm bigger when I walk in the middle. Is that how it works? There's a certain amount of lens distortion anyway. I can't remember how this fucking thing works. Normally it's that if you use a... Wait, my hand's small on the edge. And do they get bigger when they come up? Or they... No, I just have small hands. Alright. Yeah. There you are. So green screen. Yeah. You can get a kit for around €200 on Amazon or whatever you want for the 4 lights. And a lot of people hang their green screens off poles, and I think that's a terrible idea. I think you just got to stick it to a wall with tape. That's what I do, and you got to make sure there's no wrinkles in it. Iron it if you can. The one I'm using, unfortunately, is plastic, so I tried to iron it and fucking melted. But oh, that's fucking hot. Oh, jeez. So that's the crack with that. The lighting is the most important thing. lighting. If you're moving, if there's any movement at all in the green screen stuff, you got to be using high frame rates. Otherwise, you won't get away with 25 frames per second. If there's any movement at all. If you want to move stuff around and have different layers of green screen, you can layer different layers, so it's really cool. You can have like 5 of me in the background and so on, and layer different ones. You can, it's common for people to do is they have a chair and they sit on the chair actually has a green screen robe over it, and then they put in behind a picture of a chair, like a king's chair or something. So they'll have something like me, just like this, sitting on a chair with just a lot of boxes with a green thing over it, and then they'll swap in a stencil or whatever. I think they use this a lot in Game of Thrones and stuff like that. Just general. It's used all the time. So everything is just fucking green. Oh, it's fucking great stuff. Another thing you could do is wrap yourself up in this green screen stuff. You can buy a green screen suit, and then you can just have stuff. So if you imagine my hand it is when you can just turn stuff around like give me something. This bit of toilet roll. I always have toilet roll here for some reason. This thing of toilet roll, so you can have this spinning, right? Just like this. That's right. It is. You can have this toilet roll coming like this towards you, right? And my hands won't be in the picture because it's green screened out. So that's how they do a lot of these like super HD stuff with like there's like a piece of fucking tissue paper coming out behind you and it's like spinning. They just get some lad who's in a green suit to go like this. Well, that's one way of doing it anyway. Or but yeah, gee, I'm definitely doing that in my music video. So fucking hell, that's fucking class. Just go like this fucking thing. And you layer a load of them. Can't wait to do my music videos, man. I'm gonna have a music video out every month to advertise my album. Anyway, we'll get out. Moving on. Back to the subject. So daylight bulbs, very important. I'm not sure what wattage these are, but the higher the wattage, the better, I guess. Ideally, you'll have a ring light just around the actual camera itself, and that can really cut down. That could actually potentially keep you down to, I don't know. That's real. The run and gun kind of shooting on the go. They have the lights going around the axle. So here's the lens, and they have lights going around in a circle, like almost a hula hoop around the lens, so that it's evenly lit from the camera's perspective. And then you've other fill lights just to kind of, if there's a shadow, you just put in a fill light just to kind of get rid of that shadow over here. So as I said, it's very strange, this whole green screen stuff. It's very, very easy to make it look awful. A lot of it is to do with the headlight and stuff not being lit properly. You literally have to light every little bit, every little corner. There can't be like one little shadow, otherwise it just won't flip on work. Alright, so you gotta match the backgrounds with whatever's going on in front. So, because if you have stuff like what I'm having on, it's stuff that's too close together, mixed. You got a highly compressed image behind me where there's not much depth, and then you got me right in front of you in the first kind of breaking the fourth wall. So there's not much depth and shit going on. I could have myself zoomed out like over just here in the background, and it'd be like, "Hey you," yeah, green screens. Just you can literally do anything you want. It's very nice. You can even just have it as a white wall. Do you know what I mean? You can even just keep it simple. Yeah, it just really ups the production value. You can also have moving videos in the background of your green screen, and little. I'm gonna have some moving clouds going around. So here, it's like to have give you ideas of moving flames underneath it, and so on. Just to keep a tiny little bit of movement. You don't want too much that's a distraction, but just enough, just tickle the eyes. So yeah. The thing with the the focus, is that you gotta have that focused on the f-stop focused on the plane, whatever plane of existence or whatever your subject is on. All right, because if you don't have, it's such a shallow depth of field with the aperture of 4. So if I took like a few, you'll see me now, right? What I'm supposed on my hat is very blurry. So that's why you have to be so careful with this green screen stuff. You have to stay on a sideways kind of plane, whatever plane you've. Everything has to be lined up exactly. Like when I'm standing right here, there's a light right above my head, lights at either side of my face, and there's one light right up. Do you know what I mean? Everything's fucking close, and so on. Like, so if I was recording over here and all my lights were over there, it just wouldn't work. So it's very, very, everything's in lines, and the camera's on a line, and parallel to that I'm in the line, and then parallel to that is the green screen. It's all parallel and lined up, because if it wasn't lined up perfectly, there'd be all sorts of so on. All right. Yeah. All right. That's it. That's all the green screen stuff, I guess. So you got your lights, you got camera, you got all your stuff. Sound. Okay, I'll talk about sound. So you want that microphone as close as possible to the person. I have the microphone here about less than a foot away from my head. All right. Oh my God, let's take a person I gotta turn this shit off. Right. Yeah, okay, sound. So you gotta roll off the low end. So roll off everything below 80 hertz, possibly 100 hertz. Get rid of that low rumble. Then you gotta put it through a compressor which just tickles the peaks. You want a ratio of something like 4:1, 2:1, and a few of those compressors in a row. 2:1, like maybe 6 of them. All just taking 1 dB off or half a dB off at different ratios and all the rest of it. And so on. Alright, that's it, I guess. All the limiters on the back end. Limiters, just, you got to keep your sound levels right up as close to 0 without hitting 0 as possible for the sound levels. So you're using EQ to get rid of some of the low frequencies so that it translates better. And so microphone, microphone, and has to go into a preamp which turns up the volume. Then it goes into a sound card which turns the sound from the sound card into digital information which your computer can talk to and understand. Then you got to compress it so that it's at a constant volume so that people can hear it no matter where they are. It's not dipping and going up and down in volume like a horror film. So on. All the things. And alright, I think we'll leave it there. That's the end of green screens. So just the tip of the top, and that's all I have to say. Alright, all the best. Toodle doodles.